in the debates. And debates are important because, hey, number 2 in this race ain't nothing. First of all, you could end up as number 2 on the ticket. And also, you could set yourself up for cabinet positions, et cetera. That, is oftentimes the route. But when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to relevance, when it comes to, the political discourse, this is your way to actually establish yourself on that field of play. So anyway, clearly I think the winner, and then I'll get to the Trump stuff, because the Trump stuff was interesting in that Carlson was just kind of musing with him a little bit. So we'll get to that. But if you really wanted issues, and again, in a debate structure, they call it a debate, but it's really a TV show. It's very hard to get to anything substantive or any length of time, because they'll always say, so in 30 seconds, tell us what you would do with the immigration problem in America. I mean, it's very difficult. So you have to just get out your talking points and, if you can get in a one-liner and a jab and you can make it seem authentic, these are all challenges that you have as candidates. There they are. So there are 8 candidates on stage. I will give you an update on our meet and greet and all that stuff and stuff related to the show, but I wanted to get right into the debate, so let's do it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'll also mention you could smash the like button while I'm thinking of it, too.
Smash it
with your iron rod, damn it. Smash it with your iron rod. Give us a thumbs up. I'd say, and I'll roll a setup piece for you here. I'd say Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's what I would say before I continue. I think I was right, and I was wrong. And what I was right about was Vivek Ramaswamy. I told you that he would have a good night. He is someone who is so self-confident, speaks so well, media savvy, young, and so loaded with talking points that there is no way you can come at him without him taking you out almost as though it was a video game. Now, he is, as I've told you, shallow, knows nothing, talks completely out of his ass, but this format favors that. As I've just told you, there's no follow-up. There's no real chance to explore any kind of policy. So if you can say stuff that sounds good and sounds, I'm going to say he was clearly, I thought, into arrogance. He was arrogant, smug. You guys are all politicians. I'm the new fresh-faced kid. That was informing everything he said. And so when you say things like, I'm going to send troops to the southern border, I'm going to get out of Ukraine, it's about time that, Europe carry its part of Ukraine and of the responsibility for the Ukraine war. You speak about things in America. I thought this was a great moment, and this is what I'm talking about, where he goes, you know what, guys? Hey, guys, it's not that hard, okay? It's not that hard. You close the southern border, you pull out of Ukraine, you start drilling and digging for energy, coal, fossil fuel, fracking, and then you go to lunch, okay? That's it. It's not that hard. And you go, yeah, it's really not that hard. Yeah. He's a bumper sticker politician. And who was the last bumper sticker politician who also had no plan, just a bunch of stuff like that? Trump. He is Trump 2.0. And there is a part of the Republican audience that loves that. And so, and of course, the last thing I'll say, and then we roll a setup piece, is Vivek Ramaswamy, as I've told you, he carries the water for Trump. He said he's going to pardon Trump. That's, a front and center thing with him. He believes all of these things that Trump does. He's really right down the line with Trump. I'd suggest he's probably further right on the question of abortion and women's reproductive rights than Trump is. But, so I thought I was right about Ramaswamy. I'll tell you what I was wrong about. I was wrong about Nikki Haley. I thought she had a good night, and I thought she'll get a bump from this. She distinguished herself nicely, and I didn't expect that. And she also was the only one who seemed to have any nuance, if you can even have nuance in an environment like this, to any of her positions, like women's reproductive rights, just because I've mentioned it. All right, roll the setup piece, if you would, from ABC, Tony, and then we'll talk on the other side, or we'll stop it in the middle.
Sparks were flying tonight at the first presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle.
Yeah, I don't need to see all of that.
Sparring with each other.
Go about 2 minutes in after the Rachel Scott stand-up. No, I think you had it. After
Candidates
after the
threw
reporter.
punches, and what issues did they tackle?
It was a night of pointed attacks in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a critical swing state, in a fiery debate hosted by the Fox News Channel as the 2024 presidential race heats up.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth?
As the 8 Republican presidential candidates who made the cut took the debate stage for the first time.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
This is exactly
That was a
why
great
Margaret
line.
Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
The candidates sparring over hot-button issues like climate change.
The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
First of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is.
And abortion.
We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for, at the minimum, a 15-week limit. I am 100% pro-life conservative.
Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is, and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum saying he would not support a federal abortion ban.
And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which the states created the federal government, not the other way around.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis attacking the current president.
We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
DeSantis was so weak, I thought.
With understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again.
And 38-year-old biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy earning the spotlight at center stage based on polling.
My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apurva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott also saying he too represents the American dream.
I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America.
But one of the most
Whose
theatrical
American
moments
dream was better,
addressing the
everybody?
candidate
That's what
who
we're
wasn't
voting on.
Even there, former President Donald Trump.
We are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room. You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who once prepped Trump for debates, now pitching himself as the candidate most willing to take on the former president, who's mired in legal troubles.
Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson agreeing.
And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th.
Veteran politician, former governor, and former UN ambassador.
Stop right here
in
for
the
a second,
Trump
Tony, if you would. I just wanted to say something about Chris Christie, and then we can continue. Christie is, as we've said, he's kind of that junkyard dog thing. He can bring that Jersey smack talk, and he's good in these situations. I think he's an incredibly smart guy, also, and media savvy. I disagree with him on everything, virtually, but I don't see how he squares the notion that, and he made this point last night, that Trump, has no kind of record. His record as president was a failed record. Dude, you were trying to get him elected. I don't understand. I didn't hear this kind of talk from you during his administration. And to Vivek Ramaswamy, you'd support Trump for president if he was convicted of these things he's accused of? If he was convicted of this coup attempt? You'd support him. Well, then why are you in the race? He's still in. Why are you running against him? Why are you running against Trump? You ought to be running at Trump's side, supporting him. There's so much hypocrisy here.
Yeah.
And obvious contradictions. Please continue, Tony.
Administration, Nikki Haley going on the attack against her former boss.
Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
On stage, a candidate who was once one of Trump's greatest allies, also separating himself, his former vice president, Mike Pence.
The American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution, and I always will.
Rather than taking the stage in Milwaukee, Trump counter-programming in a pre-recorded interview with Tucker Carlson, released just minutes before the debate began. It appeared on X, formerly known as Twitter.
And I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president?
He is the front runner. He doesn't need to sit through all these attacks. But more important,
we said that already. That I think it's he did the smart thing by not showing up. Even though I think he's very good in these situations, Trump did the smart thing by not showing up to the debate. Why do you need to? You're ahead by so much. Chad says in the super chat, I would argue Ramaswamy doesn't believe most of what he says. He's an opportunist. He's an opportunist who knows he needs the MAGA vote. Chad, I think you're right. I mean, I don't think it's possible. Big shout out. Big shout out to Chad. I don't think it's possible to embrace the things that he said, but he sells it like nobody's business. He really is. In that way, he's like Trump. Vivek was not running for president. He was running for vice president. We talked about this, Trump lapdog. Yeah, John, I agree with that, although I don't think he brings a lot to the ticket. I get that he brings polling. But generally speaking, you want somebody in the vice presidential position who brings something politically, brings votes, brings states. I like Pence's anger. He appears stronger. Mindy's right that Pence seemed animated by Vivek last night. Yeah. I thought Vivek brought out in Pence the passion, I'll call it. I hate to use that word in relation to Mike Pence because he's utterly without,
Don't talk to me that way.
Yeah, exactly. Don't use that word. Where's the don't use that word? Anyway, the truth is that Pence, while fiery, if I can again use a word that I don't think typically is spoken of in ways around Pence, was also, he's just incapable of, it feels like I'm watching some kind of mannequin speak. He's very mannered, might be the word I'd use, And I don't think people respond to that.
He's contrived and rehearsed.
Yeah, he feels very rehearsed. I think that's right. Pence said he's going to pick the Constitution, and he always will. But he just said he's going to support Trump if Trump is the nominee.
That's
there was
irony.
That weird...
Yeah.
There was that weird, there's a whole thing with these guys, which is sort of my country right or wrong, my party right or wrong. And there's a real my party right or wrong. DeSantis invoked the SEALs too many times for me, to not want to throat punch him. He did. DeSantis invoked the SEALs. Tim Scott invoked being raised by a single mother. Vivek Ramaswamy also a couple of times reloaded, same talking points for hour one as hour two, making sure you got them in. And then, of course, DeSantis. I thought DeSantis was kind of a mess. Carrie Lake thinks Trump is going to pick her for VP. And yeah, John is right. I mean, I think that there's a lot about Carrie Lake that Trump might very well spark to. You know, DeSantis saying that he wants to send troops to Mexico on day one. By the way, the day one thing is a very political debate, effective talking point and reflex move to throw in. You know, are you going to fight the war on blank? Fill it in. On terror, on intellectual property ripoffs, on what? I'm going to do it on day one of my presidency. I'm going to. It's always a strong thing. But listen to what he said he's going to do on day one. He said he's going to send troops into Mexico to solve the fentanyl problem that is getting into the U.S. That these gangs, these cartels, are so in control of Mexico that they are exporting this fentanyl into our cities and into our communities, and kids are dying. By the way, the last part of that is true. But you can't send troops in on day one, dude. You can't do it. That's an act of war. What do you mean you're going to send troops in? I mean, just think through some of these talking points. I mean, again, they come out of this sort of righteous indignation. I've had enough of this. On day one, I'm going to send American troops into Mexico and cut down all of the cartels. I'm going to decapitate them and eliminate the fentanyl problem. Yeah, except once the smoke clears, my friend, you cannot do that. What will you tell the American troops to do? I mean, troops aren't set up for that. Blah, blah, blah. You don't even have to think it through to see how ridiculous it is. It's a talking point. What does Harry say? Oh, good, we're going to start a war with Mexico. What could possibly go wrong? Exactly. Right. So I'm just saying, when you actually look at policy, you know, it's there's a certain absurdity. It was interesting that they criticized Trump as they did. I thought I was also interested. I was interested to see how these guys would distinguish themselves. I mean, Doug Burgum, you can forget about him. He's that North Dakota dude who was just he's a governor there, and he just I thought was kind of right. We don't know him, and we don't need to know him. I think that was the takeaway on that. Nikki Haley, I was very impressed with, and I was surprised. That's where I was wrong. I didn't think that she would be doing so well. I thought she would get swallowed up by everything around her. Yeah. Ramaswamy, because he is Trumpian in his talking points, did very well on the night. And I thought DeSantis, you see why he's losing support. There's no there. And his extreme positions as played out in Florida do not play elsewhere. I think some of the extremism that wins you a primary, it's hard to walk back. And the women's reproductive rights is a big deal. And they really leaned into it.
No.
You know, I'm an unapologetic supporter of blah, blah, blah. That's another great one. But when it comes to reproductive rights and reproductive freedoms for women, only Nikki Haley really had the kind of nuanced position that gave her an eye on the exit. Right.
And her positions on reproductive rights are pretty extreme.
Exactly.
If you've heard her, that she's the one that sounded semi-reasonable last night.
Yes.
It's like, whoa, reel it in, people. A big no stamp on all of your foreheads. Nope.
It is. It's very true. What else do I have, Tony? Is there something else?
Oh, he just kind of got the Vivek show here stuff a little bit.
Here's Vivek and Pence going at it. Again, I think Pence was. I think before you run it, I think Pence was really. I think Vivek lit a fire under Pence. That might be the way to put it. So here they are going at it.
Commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage who had the courage to actually say it. That is how we move our nation forward.
I don't know
and
why
turn the page forward. That's exactly
Trump
right.
Will be convicted of these crimes.
You should be able to make a commitment. The same justice system that was this corrupt.
Here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, look, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may, you know, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand. And I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath.
This is why I don't go to church
Everyone
anymore,
on this
right here.
stage needs to make it clear whether or not
It's,
they're
I mean,
the same.
you know, again, he is, he may literally feel this way. I mean,
I think
in
he
a sense,
believes it. Yeah.
in a sense, Pence is more authentic than a bunch of other people on that stage. Certainly more authentic than Ramaswamy and DeSantis, who have signed. And DeSantis, in DeSantis' case, he signed bills, brutal bills in Florida, these fighting these culture wars. And I don't believe he. I mean, I don't know what his heart says, but I can't believe he really supports this crap. He's a smart dude. But Pence really believes this stuff. Yeah. Now, I think that makes him scary, okay? But he has that boring preacher way. It's the church I don't want to go to. Give me a show. Give me fire and brimstone. Give me passion. But this crap where he kind of, you know, he's Ronald Reagan without the smooth quality. I mean, Ronald Reagan felt likable. Pence just feels like, I don't know. I can't even watch any more of that clip. What else do we have?
He's bored you to tears, has he?
He lost me at, he lost me at, I only took that.
So, Governor Haley, what do you say to your party?
This is good. Yeah, this is on reproductive rights.
And to your state, which today confirmed a 6-week abortion law as well, especially the impact on women suburban voters across this country?
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion? Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
All right, there is it. Humanize, don't demonize, everybody. I thought she had a good moment. You know, she continued that with, hey, guys, on the federal abortion ban, you're not going to be able to pass it anyway. So why do you even have this conversation? So there was a real quality of, I thought, a conversation around that, and that became the way she was getting out of it. But it was pressed marginally, I thought, Kim, that you guys wanted to turn this back to the states, and now you want a federal abortion ban? And what is it, the states or the feds who have control over this?
Right.
You see the hypocrisy of the Republican Party on so many issues. And look, the Democrats are hypocrites as well on some things. But I mean, this was hypocrisy on parade, I thought, last night. And so we got a chance, during a GOP debate to at least look at their positions on so many of these things. Go ahead.
At a time when you have so many politicians in conservative states trying to criminalize abortion and put women in jail and go after doctors that are performing them, right? That are being awful to women in general. I like that she said, listen, we don't want to put a woman in jail. We don't want to do that. Like, we don't want to demonize that. It's interesting that that's the one thing we can agree on. But her position on abortion, if you look at it, not what she just said there, but if you look at previous conversations and, you see what she wants laid out, she's definitely no friend to reproductive rights. I will say that. So just because she seemed to be the least offensive of the 8 doesn't mean she's not offensive. Just saying.
Hear, hear. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, former President Trump suggesting that the United States could see intensifying political violence. He said that in his conversation with Carlson.
You know,
Carlson
when he says
asked
that,
whether
he's stirring up the pot. When he says that, he's got his wooden spoon in there and he's flicking it against the side of the pan. That's what he's doing.
I don't know. I can say this, he said. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen. And that's probably a bad combination. Trump compared the current volatile mix of passion and hatred to the crowd on January 6th and pivoted to defending his supporters who attacked the U.S. Capitol that day, falsely describing the violent assault as a day of, quote, love and unity. January 6th was a very interesting day, he said, this quote continues, because they don't report it properly. People in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they ever experienced. There was love and unity. I have never seen such spirit and such passion and such love.
Yeah.
And I've also never seen simultaneously and from the same people such hatred at what they've done to our country. The next stage is violence, Carlson asked. Are you worried they're going to try to kill you? Why wouldn't they try to kill you? Trump did not directly answer. Carlson tried again later. If you chart it out, it's an escalation, Carlson said. So what's next? This is after talking about the indictments against Trump. So what's next? They're trying to put you in prison for the rest of your life. That's not working. So don't they have to kill you now? I mean, this is the stuff that Carlson serves up to Trump. And at the conclusion of the interview, it was a 46-minute interview, Carlson went back to the subject of violence. Do you think we're moving towards civil war, he said. Do you think it's possible that there's an open conflict here? I don't know, Trump said. It's a dangerous thing to even talk about because we do have a very passionate group of voters, Trump said. And nobody's even suggested this except you, he said. Remember, Trump got warnings from judges not to incite violence and not to say anything that could be interpreted that way. And even interpreted as intimidating witnesses. So that was what was a little bit of going on with the Carlson interview. I should say that if you just are joining us, 220 or 230 million views on that interview with Carlson and Trump. So that was on the X platform, on the Twitter platform. Pretty crazy. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.